everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nidhi and you're watching my series on how to become a cabin crew. So in today's video, we will be talking about Silk Air, which is a subsidiary of Singapore Airlines, and it has been hiring quite a lot in Singapore and Malaysia. I've been posting on my Instagram, on my Facebook about the job opportunities, so please go ahead and find out as to how you can apply. Important thing I'm going to share with you today is how to clear your Silk Air interview. So let's get started. Now, you can go ahead and watch my other videos where I've talked about how you should in general prepare yourself for interviews. I've talked about how to be more confident, how to be less nervous, and how you should groom yourself. What should you wear to the interview? Now, for most airlines, these things are pretty common, but I'm going to share a few details that are very, very specific to Silk Air in terms of the grooming and the dress code and things like that, but that will be at the later part of the video. Right now, what I really want to talk about is basically what are the interview rounds when you go for the interview, and what should you do in these rounds. I'm going to share these little tips with you as to what you should do in these rounds so that you can qualify one after the other and you can actually go all the way to the final interview. So I'm very, very fortunate that you all actually keep sending me all this information. So I have a student who actually recently got through her Silk Air interviews, and she sent me all the details in terms of what are the questions were asked and what are the latest rounds, and that is why I'm going to share all that with you. Okay, so for Silk Air interviews, the first and foremost round that you would have to go through is basically the documentation check. The interviewers will collect your documents, they will give you the tag numbers, and they will collect your documents. They will go through your documentation to make sure your educational qualifications and all your documentation is in order. And if that is okay, you will go through the height test, where basically they want to make sure that you fall into the category of the minimum height that you need to have. Now, one of the reasons why most airlines is so particular about height is because you have to reach overhead compartments, and you should be able to get the safety equipment or even help passengers with luggage and things like that. And of course, you would have to have certain minimum height to be able to do all these things, and that is why height is really, really important. Now, the next round is basically the introduction round, where what they do is they actually group you in groups of 10 people, and they would ask you to introduce yourself, and after that they will ask you a random question. Now, for example, please introduce yourself, and can you tell us if you were to tell us who is your favorite celebrity, or can you please share with us who is your favorite celebrity? Or if you were to choose between the color black and white, what would you choose? Or what is your favorite food? Or if you were to recommend a customer to go on a romantic getaway, which destination would you recommend? So these are some of the random questions that they ask you, but they actually combine it together with the introduction round. To be able to clear this round, it's very important that you make an impression with how you introduce yourself. And at the same time, when they ask you these questions that are so random, right? Like, you must be wondering why. Why do I have to answer all these questions? So my tip here is, whenever you're answering these kind of random questions, don't really worry too much about whether you should choose black or white, or whether you should name a celebrity that is really known. Actually, in all honesty, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is whether you are able to hold a conversation, whether you're actually able to answer that question. So just go ahead and answer the question, and that's the most important thing, guys, when it comes to this particular round. Building that rapport by answering questions or making that impression is what is really needed to be able to clear this round. All right, you clear this round. The second round would be basically uniform and skin check, and they'll check for the tattoos and scars. So basically, they'll give you the uniform to wear, and for female candidates, they will give you the uniform to wear. And for male candidates, they don't really ask you to wear the uniform, because usually male candidates will wear formal attire, and that's pretty much the same thing that you will wear on the flight as well. But for male and female candidates both, they would actually look at how you walk, how you, if you have any tattoos on the parts that are visible in the uniform. They will check for any scars if you have on the visible parts of the body when you're wearing the uniform. And at the same time, they will do a skin check to make sure that your skin doesn't have any issues and things like that. So basically, this round is all about ensuring that you look good in the uniform. There's nothing much that you can do to be able to clear this round except for the fact that you maintain your weight, you look good, and at the same time, your skin is clear, so that when they look at you, they can see that yes, this person really takes care of himself or herself, and I can see a potential cabin crew. So that's exactly would be my advice to you for this particular round. Okay, so round 3 is more of a one-to-one interview where they will ask you to read a passage to basically check your pronunciation and your enunciation. Now, this is because you have to make announcements. So my advice would be to be able to score this round. Whenever you're at home, try and read aloud, like when you're reading a newspaper. Read it in such a way that when you are reading it out, people are impressed with the way you pronounce things, the way you have your intonation, the way you enunciate. So these are some of the things that you can actually do to score this round. But at the same time, it's like a one-on-one interview. So they'll ask you questions about your previous job, about your experiences, things like why you want to become a cabin crew with Silk Air. They also test they would also test your ability to maybe solve a difficult situation. So they would ask you if you faced a difficult situation before, or they would give you a difficult situation in terms of a role play. For example, if a passenger refuses to eat chicken, and in the menu you have chicken and beef, but you're out of beef and you only have chicken, and the passenger says, I don't want to eat chicken because I don't like chicken. How would you basically handle those situations? So here the idea again is to be able to display those attributes that a cabin crew would face when they're faced with any sort of situational. So when they ask you situational based questions like this, a cabin crew is not just the job of a cabin crew is not just to provide solutions. The job of a cabin crew is to be able to handle the passenger in these situations. So they want to see basically how you handle that passenger. So that's exactly what you need to do when it comes to these rounds. And when they ask you about your previous job experiences, the tip to score this round is basically to be able to tell them, like, what are some of your experiences? What are some of your skill sets? Now, there's a high possibility that you could be a fresher when you go for this interview, and it doesn't matter. Because the skill set that you require to become a cabin crew doesn't necessarily come from a job experience that you might have. It also comes from your life. And I've talked about this in a lot of my videos where I've talked about how as a fresher you should introduce yourself, how as a fresher you should use your life experience, because obviously you don't have job experience to be able to impress the interviewers. So these are some of the tips that I want to share with you as to how you can clear this particular round. You clear through all of this, basically what they will do is they will give you a form and they will ask you to come back at 3:30 p.m. For the final round. Now, basically a management round, which is taken by basically the higher managers, which are the decision makers. Now, the previous 2 rounds are usually done by executives, but this round is done by managers. Now, the reason why managers do this round is because they are the decision makers. Finally, they are the ones who are going to decide whether this person is fit to be a cabin crew with our airline, because they are the ones who actually work on the mission, the vision statement of the airline and things like that. So this is the round where you want to basically impress the managers by telling them how much do you want to be part of the airline. And the questions are obviously pretty much similar to what they might have asked you in previous rounds. But here they just want to see that, are you really ready? Are you really fit to be a cabin crew with Silk? It's a little bit different, and it's actually conducted in groups of 10 instead of 1-to-1. What happens is you all will be sitting in the same room, and the managers would ask you to come to the front one by one, and basically all that you need to do is introduce yourself. And they would also ask you questions like, why do you want to become a cabin crew, about your past experience and things like that. So again, the round, as I said, is more about getting to know you personally, because this is the time they want to make that decision. So your answers will pretty much be the same as to what I have shared with you when you're doing a one-to-one interview. But remember, you have to help them make a decision to hire you. So the way you answer, the way you present yourself, the way you show to them that you're ready to be part of the airline, the amount of passion that you show when you're answering really helps the interviewers to make that decision that yes, this is the person that we want to hire, this is the person that has those attributes to become a cabin crew with Silk Air. So that's exactly what my tip is, to be able to score this round. Show all those attributes, show all those skill sets, not just in your answers, but also in the way you present yourself. Make sure when you come back at 3:30 p.m. your grooming is top notch, and you just don't look like you've come back from a lunch break, but you look like, hey, I'm ready to take care of my customers at any time of the day, regardless of whether it's after lunch, whether I've eaten my food, or it's been a long day. So these are some of the tips that I want to share with you guys. When you go through all of this, what they do is basically they would send you an email at a later stage, maybe on the same day or the next day, telling you that you have been shortlisted. They don't tell you right away. And if you get that email, voila, you've made it to the final round, which is the medical round. Now, medical round is pretty much the same for most airlines, and I've shared a video where I've extensively talked about what are some of the medical rounds that you have to go through when it comes to most airlines. It's pretty much the same: x-rays, blood tests, urine tests, just making sure that there are no diseases in particular that you're dealing with, and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much the same for most airlines. There's nothing out of the ordinary. Like some airlines have something out of the ordinary, like Qatar has some specific medical examinations that they want you to go through, and I've shared that in my video for Qatar Airways, so do go ahead and watch that. But yeah, so there's nothing out of the ordinary, pretty much same medical tests that you need to go through. So that kind of brings us to the end of the video, but yes, I promised to share with you about the attire. So when you go for the interview, make sure you groom yourself well, you prepare yourself well, carry all the documents that you need to. But in particular, when it comes to grooming, it really helps to make that first impression. So for Silk Air, from what I understand, they're quite okay even if you don't bun your hair, if you leave your hair open, or if you tie your hair in a ponytail. They're not that particular, but I would think that if you are a professional, you would tie your hair because it obviously looks neater. So that's my advice. So wear really smart and professional attire. Now, when I say smart and professional attire, that does not always mean that you actually have to wear a skirt and a shirt, which is a full sleeve shirt. Now, smart professional attire can be a really good dress for female candidates. It could be a nice skirt with a nice top, which does not have to be a shirt all the time. So that's what I want to share with you when it comes to Silk Air and Singapore Airlines interview. You can actually wear smart professional attire. It doesn't have to be really, really formal attire like a shirt and a skirt for female candidates. But I do apologize for male candidates. I can't really tell you to wear anything else but a shirt and a pant, or a trouser rather, because that's exactly what falls under the category of smart yet professional attire. So you would have to do that, but you don't necessarily have to wear a jacket. So you can actually just stay with that and wear a tie to make sure that it completes the look of a professional smart attire that you're wearing. So yes, for more details on what to wear, you can definitely check out my other video where I've shared more details in terms of the do's and don'ts. With us to the end of the video, I really hope that you can get some takeaway from this video and that helps you prepare for your next Silk Air interview, whether you're in Singapore or Malaysia. So all the best, and if you do like what I have shared, do not forget to press the like button. Do share in comments about your interview experience, and at the same time please share it with others, and also do not forget to press the notification bell for more video updates so you're constantly updated. And you all know that I do coaching, so do get in touch with me. I'm planning a lot of things for all of you guys, which I'm going to be updating on my Instagram, so do follow me on my Instagram and my Facebook, because I also post job opportunities there. Anytime, all of you out there, always stay pretty, stay handsome, and I love you guys. Bye.